to illuminate the often unseen mental health challenges faced by first responders, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and 911 dispatchers by sharing their stories, fostering understanding, and promoting resources for support and healing. We aim to break down stigma, advocate for improved mental health services within the first responder community, and inspire hope and resilience. This is the Weight We Carry podcast. What's going on, guys? This is Bart with the Weight We Carry podcast, and today we have Mr. Scott Garing with us. Thanks for coming on, Scotty. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Freaking awesome, bro.
Good.
Thank you for bringing your mustache.
Yeah, you're welcome. I carry it with me everywhere I go.
So, Scotty, if you would, give us a brief introduction of yourself and let everyone know who you are.
So my name's Scott Garing. Currently, I'm the Chief of Fire and Emergency Services for Cranberry Township. I've been in public safety since 1998. You can do the math because it makes me feel old if I do the math for you. But I've served in a variety of roles, from firefighting to paramedic to rescue technician, from being a chief to a deputy chief to a supervisor and an instructor. I have a pretty well in-depth background in public safety. And also before I got really heavy into public safety, I was also in the military. I spent time in the Army from 1999 to 2008.
We're going to get into it here today. I'm really excited. Seriously, thanks for being on, brother.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I think that what you guys are doing is amazing, and I'm excited to see where the road that it takes for you guys over the next period of time. So,
thank you.
I'm even more excited because I get to talk to two people that were part of me being in the early stages of EMS, and well, I can't say early stages for me, but I met you guys during my course of being together for a while. And I'm very proud to say that I was part of you guys and your marriage. And that excites me. I have successfully been the matchmaker for quite a few people, and you guys are one of them. And the way that you guys interact and the way that you guys are with each other, just truly something special. So that makes me happy. So.
You make us happy.
And now our kids are our best friends. It's awesome.
Right. Yeah, right.
Heck yeah. Every Sunday, airsoft. Well, we try.
Right.
Well, Scotty, let's get into it, okay, man? So take us back to take your kid to work day, okay? What was it like seeing your dad in action, and how did that moment shape your path?
So going back to that time, in all reality, if you think about that time for you as a child, probably 14, 15 years of age, your dad was just your dad. He was someone that you wrestled with, you did guy stuff with, or I did back-breaking labor on the family farm. That's who my dad was. And the take your kid to work day probably changed my life the very first day. And that's pretty impactful. That's pretty cool to hear for a program that a school puts together to allow their kids to do that. And it's probably what they want as the ultimate result, really, to be honest with you. And so I went to work with him, and he was working part-time at Harmony EMS as a health professional. And he also worked for Life Flight full-time as a flight nurse, which is where he ultimately ended up retiring. But that day, since I couldn't fly with him because I was so young, I worked with him on the ambulance. And that day that I was with him was absolutely insane. It was one of those days that people get tested to their abilities. And I got to sit there, and my dad, he just wrestled me into submission the night before. I watched him wrestle multiple patients into submission that day. And it was everything from a kid that blew his fingers off from putting black powder into a CO2 cartridge, and he was making a bomb, but he accidentally filled it with powder and then needed to make the hole larger, and that created sparks and blew off all his fingers. And then from there, I remember going to a cardiac arrest, to which it was a save. And then at the same time we were at that one, my neighbor had actually passed away from a cardiac arrest. And then I watched him also care for a little old lady that took a header down the steps and had a head injury, and just watched him compassionately care for each one of these things. And at that moment, I was like, holy crap, my dad's not just my dad. Like, there's a whole nother side of him that I don't know. And I just watched him handle some absolutely earth-shattering things to me at the time. There are extra special things that all of us have learned to do through our skill sets. But like, to me, it was completely foreign. And I was like, holy cow, I just watched my dad save some people's lives, and this is unreal. But I also watched him be probably the most empathetic person that I've ever seen. And empathy is truly something that it takes a special person. And I watched him, this elderly lady that fell down the steps, I watched him whisper in her ear. I watched him hold her hand. And like, those were lessons that I took and applied my entire career of like, sometimes you just need to hold someone's hand and sometimes you need to talk to him. And every time I did it, I thought about my freaking dad. So,
your dad's an awesome guy, man.
It was really an amazing time. And you think back on it as you get older, when you can critically think about things, it was truly a special moment for me.
Yeah, when I first met Mr. Garing, man, he's an awesome man, and you're very lucky to have that as a father. You know what I mean? So, and you see those things happen, it's like Superman. You know, as a young kid,
Absolutely,
it's like a Superman thing. So heck yeah, and I remember meeting your dad the first time, and then meeting him at one of the Westview days where Life Flight came in and landed, and I got a picture with him. You know, it was awesome. It was awesome. What a cool dude.
Yep.
So, Scotty.
So you're taking Logan soon to take your child to work day.
I can't wait. I can't wait to take him to the 911 center. It's going to be fun.
I used to go to Iron City Beer for Take Your Child to Work Day.
That explains so much. Oh my goodness. You just connected the dot for me.
It's fun.
Here we go. So you became an EMT just days after turning 16. What was it like stepping into public safety at that young age?
I was probably like anybody else. I know everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
At 16 years old, but that's truly not the case. And I know that now. But thinking about it now, I know to expect that with the young people that walk in the door too. Or 1 year, truly 1 year of experience, but they feel like they have 20. And I tolerate that to a degree. But the fact of the matter was, it was scary to a degree. At that time, it was mostly like volunteer combination systems. So I was a volunteer EMT that I spent a good bit of time helping out. It wasn't my life, but I volunteered a lot to try and get skill sets of working with people and understanding what I was doing. But truly, I worked with some unbelievable people in EMS, and my dad being one of them. I got to work shifts with my dad after I became that, and it was just him and I on an ambulance. But through that, I developed some unbelievable friends and mentors that have really guided me down the path that I am today. And some of those nudged me towards the fire department, which the fire department led to me really enjoying rescue and EMS and firefighting, and that's what pushed me ultimately to end up at Ross Westview. So, but it was scary, just like anything else.
Yeah. And that's where it all began for us. That's where I met you, Ross Westview EMS.
Yep. Absolutely. I started there in 2007. So
I think I started end of 2008, somewhere right around there.
Probably.
When you were a blue shirt.
So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, remember, we have some stories for sure. Was there ever a moment early on when you questioned if this was the right path for you?
Honestly, no. I didn't have any hesitation. I mean, I hit the ground with those mentors that really supported me and helped me. And when people talk, I listen, like I take everybody's feedback. It's part of that empathetic piece that I was talking about. I'm a good listener. And they're honestly too many people to name that were part of that, but primarily it was my dad that started me down the road, obviously. But those led to the fire service, which led to the career in EMS, which then led to the EMS rescue side, and now the fire side. But I've had a bunch of great mentors that put me on the right path. 3 of them that I usually always give credit to, and just about anything that I do, it's important to be able to talk about the people that are impactful. And truly, I do it to hope that other people do it for their mentors too. I hope they pick up the lesson on that, because you never know how you're doing until someone gives you feedback, right? So, and you want it to be unsolicited. That's the genuine kind. But my big 3 mentors were my dad, obviously, my ex-fire chief, Rob Reed, and my ex-EMS chief, Greg Porter. But I would like to think that in many ways that those 3 gentlemen, they really are who I've been counseled by the most, and they provided me with that rock-solid example to be where I am today.
So getting into your military service, you were in basic training when 9/11 happened. How did that moment change your mindset and your future?
What a wild time that was. So I immediately, I got into the military right after high school. And while I was there, 9/11 happened when I was in basic training. And we're obviously sheltered from information. You can't see the news. You don't get a newspaper. You have no idea. I was in the red phase at that point, which was the worst phase. That's when they're trying to break you down to nothing and build you up to something. And so I had no contact with home. And they took us all out on the drill floor, hundreds of people into our platoons and companies. And one guy stood up on the platform in front of us, and he started talking about 9/11 and the events. And then he took everybody and he split us up, and he put about 1/3 of us on the left-hand side of the drill field and about 2/3 of us on the right-hand side of the drill field. He pointed to the group of 2/3, which I was standing in, and he said, if all of you are going to be dead or wounded within 2 years because we're going to war. He said, unless you start paying attention, you're not going to survive the next 5 years. And then he used the other third, and he said, all of you might be wounded too, but still alive. The rest of you are probably going to be dead. And to me, I was like, holy cow, like, what did I just do? There are people that have been in the military for 30 years that didn't do anything. And I signed up, in the moment that I start going through everything, all of a sudden, the war starts to break out. And I'm like, man, I signed up to do some good things, but it scared the daylights out of me. So I started taking things really seriously, started making sure that I was, my skills were where they needed to be. And I actually went did probably one of the most impressive things I have ever done in my life. I've always been a bigger gentleman, and I actually pushed myself physically to the point where I looked like a stick with a head. I went from running in the slowest class of running. They did like A, B, C, and D. And I was like in the back of D. I was leading A by the time we were done and pushing A. It was the most impressive thing like that I've physically done in my life, that I couldn't believe that I was able to do it. I applied for a thing called Student Sergeant Major. It's the most important person out of an entire battalion of individuals. So a group of companies makes up a battalion. So like there's a lot of people involved with it, and I pushed myself physically to try and achieve this mark. And the only reason I didn't get it was because there was some nepotism involved in it. But the cool part was that everybody still called me Student Sergeant Major because they knew what the hell happened. So
yeah, it's that competitive gene in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking back at your deployments, what was one of the most challenging parts of serving overseas, both mentally and physically?
So I'd say probably the most difficult part was everything we did was a secret. So that creates a lot of shadows for you to work in overseas. And while I've trusted some of my best of friends or acquaintances that I know I can trust. I still can't share the whole story publicly with people just because it's the way it has to be. We were in a secret place in an undisclosed location, and I completely get why they did that. But the one of the things that made it the worst mentally for me was that I was on a forward operating base, just me and another guy, and I was outside talking on a satellite phone. And while I was there, things changed very rapidly in front of me. And I was talking to Steph on the phone at that time. And at that point, I had to hang up the phone. And obviously, being disconnected from your significant other and telling them that it's raining outside didn't go over well. But what she failed to reference in was it wasn't raining outside. There was different things going on. And I hung up, and I spent probably a month waiting for her to get a letter from me in the mail, because I couldn't email it. I couldn't do anything. And it was probably one of the most miserable moments of my time over there. I'll get into another one here in a moment. But the fact of the matter was that everything was a secret. So I told her it was raining. She didn't understand why I wanted to hang up. She just wanted to talk to me. And again, 30 days later, after her being angry at me and struggling through those calls, not taking my phone calls, being mad at me while on the phone, and obvious, it was just absolutely gut wrenching, because that's your connection to home. So
it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You said that the time in Iraq shifted you from being a pessimist to an optimist. Was there a specific moment or experience that made that change happen?
Yeah. I did something very wrong over there. Every one of us does things wrong. And there's things that people regret. But it was tough to deal with, because I literally thought I was going to spend my life in jail because of it, because that's how it was framed to me. And I had a week of thinking that I was never gonna go do anything ever again. I was gonna be in prison in Louisiana, and it was not anything major. It didn't seem at the time, but that if you think about it, it was I violated operational security. In 2007, Hurricane Ivan came through Western Pennsylvania and just absolutely decimated everything. I had a momentary lapse of judgment, and I fired off an email to a friend of mine that I served in Germany with, and told him the things that I was doing, that I wasn't supposed to tell someone that I was doing. And from that moment, I had basically my life flash before me in regards to I just screwed myself big time. And it was embarrassing. It was frustrating. It was difficult to deal with, because I've always held myself to a higher standard. So that coupled with the several life-altering events, like taking mortars every day, having some blow up in very close proximity to where you are, having a 2-week stint where multiple things had happened to me that really made me judge myself and figure out what was really going on. Those are all and living with such a high sense of security 24/7 of you don't know what's going to happen, and it really messed with me. My issue that I had, or one of the ones that I encountered, where I had multiple things happen over a 2-week time period, actually made me believe in a higher being. I'm not a Bible beater by any means. I believe that there is some afterlife, but I don't go to church regularly, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in things. However, I believe that someone was looking out for me the one day. We were stuck in a forward operating base and got delayed for a day because of the weather. And the place that we were going to, that we were supposed to be at, in the same location that I would have been in at the same time, there was a dining facility bombing, and it killed some of the folks that we were with. And from that point on, I realized that there was, the place was a very bad place, and that someone was watching over me. There's a reason why the helicopters couldn't get out that night. There's a reason why I didn't go fly across the country that night to a different place. And to be honest with you, it was something that I look at as my moment of changing from a pessimist to an optimist, and realized that nothing's as bad as that place. There's nothing you can't fix. There's nothing you can't work on or work through. But those experiences are really what changed me from being a pessimist to an optimist.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you see the reason why. I mean, you're a beautiful father, amazing husband.
Oh, you sound good looking. Thank you.
It's that stash. But I mean, just look what you've done. Like, speaks for itself. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Coming home, you initially thought you were fine, but later you realized you were experiencing some things. What were the signs, and how did you start to process that?
So honestly, it was just like anybody else. I had no ability to. I was young still, and I was Superman and didn't need any assistance. However, I found out months later, after I got home from my parents, that I had like the 1,000-yard stare, if you will. I was different. I acted differently. I was quiet. I was reserved. I was jumpy. And they just kind of let me deal with it the way that I thought I needed to deal with it. And beyond that, immediately after I came home, I had some really significant issues with night terrors. And I would wake up in panic mode, fight or flight type stuff. And it wasn't easy to deal with. Every night before I went to bed, I was in that transition sleep mode, and someone dressed in all black was coming in, and they were choking me out. They had their hands on my neck. And I was struggling to breathe, and I couldn't get them off of me. And my fight or flight syndrome would eventually wake me up, and I would throw them off. And to the point where I had weapons hidden underneath my bed, because I thought that's what I needed to protect myself. And then also to the point of having to almost hurt my wife, So she was trying to intervene to wake me up, and things happened. But luckily nothing happened. And truly, those were red flags, but I really never dealt with them. I just went on with life, essentially.
So, in regards to those night terrors, what finally made you realize something had to change, and how did you start coping with it?
So I really didn't know how to deal with it, even though the military told us on our post-deployment type activities of like, hey, if you need help, get help. We're here to help you. I just never told anyone about it. And a therapist that I went and saw a hypnotist at one point, and she had said that I never truly got rid of it. I just suppressed it. It's still in there somewhere, and something's going to awaken that someday. And I think I've felt those effects every once in a while of those cumulative stress effects that I've experienced. And but that's as far as coping with it. It was just kind of roll with it, and it finally subsided.
And we all know, I think the big thing is, the coping, and you just kind of dealt with it. I think at some points, that can it'll rear its ugly head at some point again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just this past week, the gentleman that I spoke to, I was introduced to him from one of the gentlemen I work with, and he does it's a cognitive and neurological PTSD thing, and they can totally from what they say, and they have over like 19,000 success stories, something around there. And, that's, so I had my initial consultation thing with him. So we're going to see what happens with it. But I think at some point we're going to have that gentleman on the show to speak about the neuroscience to stressors and PTSD and everything like that. So I'll let you know how it goes, and I can pass it along because it's free. It's free to responders and their families and their children. So pretty cool.
Absolutely.
But so many in public safety push through trauma and suppress it. And I think we've all done that. What would you say to someone doing that right now?
Well, I would say that I truly believe that the stigma of it is gone now. It's not what it was before. I don't know anyone that is operating in the old methods and ways. But I would tell them that what you're experiencing is completely normal. You're not wrong. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad provider, and it's okay. Like, it's truly okay. And it's okay to not be okay. And that's absolutely the truth. There are people out there that have been doing it for a long time that will probably give you some of the best advice you could ever find. Go talk to someone that's willing to talk to you. Just recently, we had the Trump shooting here up in Butler, and I had a lot of friends that were involved in that. I used my time from Iraq and the stressful situations that I experienced, and used those to my abilities to help them through that event, because it was likely the most stressful thing that they will ever experience in their life. While theirs was an acute stress response, mine was a chronic, cumulative stress response. But I was able to help them work through it, and I truly appreciate the ability for them to open up and talk to them and make sure that they were okay.
So on top of that, you've learned to embrace your emotions now. I think we all kind of have. Or I can be an emotional person, and Britt keeps me in line. But you're not afraid to show them. And what led you to that shift?
Honestly, I just had to learn to embrace them. So I can't control it. You've noticed I've gotten emotional a few times already, and it's, to me, I don't really care if you don't like me because I get emotional. It's just me and who I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And it's okay to me. So you absolutely know how I feel in the moment by my mannerisms and how I talk. But not many people have the ability to do that. So, but it's okay. You're allowed to be your own human being. Everybody's got their own tics. But I truly believe that I developed those post-Iraq from that cumulative stress environment that I experienced. And I still have those that it weighs on me today. I give speeches a lot, and a lot of them have to do with impactful events that have happened in my life, and or things that I'm very passionate about. And you can see it in every one of them. It happens in almost every one of them. But that's part of my healing process too.
Yeah, I think things like this, and then you doing public speaking and everything, that's therapy for you, and all in one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after a horrific crash on the interstate, you had a delayed PTSD reaction. What did that experience teach you about how trauma affects us?
So I truly did. And to set the story for you, it was a 5 a.m. car crash on the interstate where I had a car that crossed the center line of a divided highway going full speed into a loaded gasoline tanker. And both of them were going at the highway speed or more because one of them was asleep. And the car literally exploded like a bomb went off, and the person squirted out the side and lost their leg in the process. So I live relatively close to it, and I was there first. And when I got there, the gentleman had amputated I think it was his left leg from his knee down. And there are people just screaming and yelling and do you need to do this? You need to do that. Luckily, there was a state trooper there that was off duty. That was passing through the area that was helpful. But the first thing I did was grab the tourniquet and put it on his leg and just said, I didn't care what else was going on at this point. We're here for a life. Put a tourniquet on his leg. I carry one right in the front seat of my car, so it was really accessible. And then EMS showed up and continued to save the guy's life. And then ultimately flew him to the hospital. So during that time period, while he was getting cared for with EMS, our firefighters were scouring everywhere looking for the limb, and they eventually found it. And when they walked over with it, it really, I don't know if it was that messed with me or the stress of it, but they were holding it in their hand and like, oh, here's his leg. And they gave it to the crews and they took off. But I found myself after the incident having a stress response to it. And at that point, I was very new at being a fire chief, and I was nervous for people to see me. And I hid away from them and had probably the most uncontrolled episode of violently shaking and crying like that I've probably ever had in relation to an incident. And it wasn't because what we did was awesome or amazing. I think what it was the stress response, and it reframed things back on the military or just the stress of being where I was. I think it framed it back in together, and it was very difficult for me to deal with. That day I spent time, I came home and was crying on Steph's shoulder, and then I went to a golf outing to where I had a little too many drinks at it, but I got away from it and was able to tell the story. So, but that was really how the day went for me. But I don't know why it bothered me so much besides the fact of the stress response. But the lesson I pulled away from it is that if I have experiences like this, which I feel that I'm a really mentally sound individual. I love solving problems. I love doing things that involve your brain. And what it helped me focus on was the fact that if I had the problem, then it's so easy for other people to have the problem. And that's really helped me help others.
Yeah, and it's not just and you obviously know you're not the only one that we all have to deal with that. Being in emergency medicine or the fire side of it, then we keep on coming back to that. You can only get so prepared, going through EMT or paramedic class, and those new students that come right off of getting their signatures still wet on their EMT card, and they jump on the truck and they're all piss and vinegar, and they're like, it's going to save lives. And then you have that real bad call, the first bad call. I remember them. I remember with you and I be in the back of the ambulance, and we had a guy just die on us, out of nowhere. And that was like, and I was still riding third person, and
I absolutely remember that. What's this, Bart?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you can never really mentally prepare for it until it just happens. And, I remember a lot of really bad crashes and things like that. And it takes me back to, I think I was just going through paramedic class, and you called me out on the, the grimace on my face, and just I was over it. That I think I was maybe 5-6 years in at that time, and I was stressed out, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I remember you pulling me aside and were like, dude, what's your problem? What the hell's going on? You called me right out, and that's what I needed at the time, and sort of settled back in, brought me back down to earth at the time, and away we went. Did it for another 8-9 years or whatever.
So one of my worst management mistakes that I feel like I've ever made had to deal with an employee at Ross Westview that I called out like that. And it was someone that was one of our star employees, and they weren't acting normally. And when they weren't acting normally, I started taking offense to it. It was a period of like 2 weeks. They were assigning my shift, and we were like, and I said, I got to say something. And I learned management from the school of hard knocks, right? Like you screw up and you're like, hey, don't do that again. Like,
sorry, my bad.
But I asked this guy straight up. I looked at him and said, what's wrong with you? Why are you not doing what you normally do? What's happening? Like, well, how can we fix this? And he turned and looked at me and very, very, very sincere, just looked at me and said, my kid is not doing well. He's been in children's hospital for 2 weeks, and I don't know if he's going to make it. And I felt about this flipping big. I failed that person by not talking to them earlier, by not addressing it earlier. And then I also learned the fact that everybody's fighting a fight at home that nobody knows about. And whenever that came to light, I was like, I really got to make sure I start paying attention to people a little bit closer. Still got to keep your tabs on the troops. And now I see that as one of my most important management lessons and one of the worst management lessons that I ever learned. Recently, I told him that story. I actually did it on a different podcast, and I texted him and I said, I just want to let you know that's you I'm talking about. And he said, what's really crazy is the fact that you see it as a negative, and I saw it as one of the most positive things that's ever happened in my life.
Well, Scotty,
he took what I said to him and applied it to the fact that people care. And it actually opened up an entire gateway of him being able to talk to other people.
And dude, and I always say this about you to whoever I speak to, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass or just, you are the epitome of a true leader. And you need to know that. Anything that we ever did in the garage bays, you were right there beside us, especially when you got that white shirt. You never asked us to do anything that you wouldn't have done yourself or you weren't in there doing with us. And I saw you work your way up through the ranks, and it's such a proud thing to say. I say it wholeheartly. I am proud to have you as a friend. You know what I mean? And I've learned a lot from you. You're accountable for yourself. If you make a mistake, you call your own self out. That's leadership, and I think you're an absolute asset to public safety, to the fire department, to EMS, to anyone that you work with. And I know, well, we can get into this later. I think it's the Safer Group. Is that what you guys started up there? So we can talk about that a little bit. But you're a leader, Scotty, and that you're destined to be that. And I'm proud of you. I hope that it comes from me, and I'm just saying, Britt and I, we're proud of you. We love to see what you do and what you do for the community, man.
Thank you. And I don't take credit for it because it's people like you and 1,000 other people that built me. I'm just a programmed robot from experiences, and that's where I live, and I do it for all of you. So,
well, you do it well, but you're a leader, brother. Seriously.
Need glasses, wait.
Fogging up. And this goes right into this question. You carry a lot of responsibility and you've witnessed intense tragedies. How are you able to balance the weight of it all while staying committed to this job and any other job that you touch?
I'll tell you that there are some absolutely tremendous people out there that are really good at helping people. And I kind of take that and try and apply it to the same concept, to the fact of like, I can help those people that are helping people by me healing through helping them. I truly feel like I work through problems while I'm working through your problems. And that is where the ultimate satisfaction comes from for me, is that we work through it together. And my hopes are that on the other side of it, you learn something about yourself And truly, it makes it so you can help someone else whenever I'm not available to do it. And someone else that I may not have contact with that you do, you can get them through their situation. It's like the ripple effect. If you throw a stone into the pond, right, the ripples keep going and going and they'll never stop. And to me, that's what I'm hopeful is you'll teach someone, you'll talk to someone else that needs help because someone talked to you, and that person will do the same. And it just continues to through that pond forever. And I think that's really important.
I think that's kind of that's our goal of this podcast too. Just see whoever we can get on here and share their story, because there's people that have gone through the same thing and feel the same way, and you see you're not alone, or they use this to help them get through this. Like, we just, however many people that we can reach this out to and show that they're not alone and there's help out there. Like, that's exactly what we want with this too.
I'll tell you, after all these conversations we've had, I listened to Taylor's and Jeff Kelly's podcasts, and I cried a whole lot during them. And it's told me that I need to talk to someone. And I'm proud of that because you guys helped me do that.
We love you, buddy.
Love you too.
So anyone that knows you, knows how important these 3 firefighters are to you. And losing 3 firefighters in Zelienople was devastating. The whole community felt it. How did that tragedy shape your leadership and approach to your training?
So just to set the backstory for it, we had 3 firefighters, Sam Busey, Trevor Barkley, and Elijah Lunsford, that were doing what kids do and having fun. They overturned their car into an icy pond on their way to the fire station the one night, and all 3 of them drowned in the middle of winter. And they were all still high school students, but I can tell you that they were some of the nicest, kindest kids you could ever meet. Like, they were unbelievable individuals. And the one that wasn't a member yet actually had an application in his hand when they found him. That was Trevor Barkley. And I can only imagine that Trevor was just as unbelievable as Sam and Elijah were. And so they, when they lost their life, we had a separate incident happen that took us away from it, and our mutual aid companies handled the rescue of those individuals or removal of those individuals. But what we took away from it as a group was the fact that we weren't ready. If we would have been called, which was only a quarter mile from the firehouse, to help save them, one of us would have likely been hurt or killed trying to get them out of the water. And we didn't have the training, we didn't have the equipment, we didn't have the knowledge. A lot of us focused on different things, but never that, because, it's the low risk, high frequency event, and we never really focused on it. From that point forward, we actually took, and it's something that I call turning lemons into lemonade. And we turned something that is very sour and nasty to deal with into something that is absolutely sweet, and you can just drink it for days. And it was because of Rob Reed, one of my mentors in there, that really let a group of us retrain the fire department and make probably the most, I'm not going to say probably, I'm going to say the most impressive run at professional training and certification that a fire department's probably ever seen in a short period of time. We developed some of the most amazing leaders and firefighters and rescue technicians that I've ever seen because Rob Reeb allowed us to do it. He allowed the kids to take the ball and go. We failed on things. We absolutely didn't work. But the cool part was Rob was standing there during every step of the way, and he would help you pick up the pieces, and he would help you make something beautiful out of it again and say, here, have at it. Go again. Try it again. I'm here to help you. And to me, that was probably one of the most powerful leadership lessons that I've ever learned is you got to fail before you can succeed. And it helped shape me because I took things very seriously after that. And I was working at Ross at that point, and luckily the organization really focuses on training and education. And I had Greg look at me on day one whenever I worked there, and he's one of the most important statements someone's ever said to me in my life. In the rescue truck, he looked at me and said, "I will give you all the tools that you need to do your job. It's up to you to get your education and training to use them." And I took that to heart just as well as taking this whole incident to heart, and just had the most impressive run at training and education that really this area's probably ever seen. So, and I still do it today, honestly. It doesn't stop. So we still do it today. I don't want to say I.
Leadership in public safety comes with immense pressures, making critical decisions, supporting your team, and carrying the weight of difficult situations. How do you personally manage stress in leadership, and what advice do you have for those in high-stress roles?
It's pretty sound crazy. I just had someone ask me this the other day. How do you deal with this all the time? And I looked at him and said, you know what? It's easy. I just expect the unexpected. Like, legit, if it can break, if something can go wrong, just expect it. And guess what? You're not upset when it happens. But I truly believe that I have the ability on most occasions to be able to stop, reset, refocus, take a deep breath, and listen. I had someone cause, I'm not going to get into that, but I'll tell you that I'm not always right, and I think that sometimes you have to listen to the audience and get information because you don't know everything, and they may have the most valuable piece of information that you could need to make a great decision. And by listening to them, you can ensure that you are making the best decision for the group at hand. So expect the unexpected.
Always.
So I know your proficiency with a lot of different, whether it's vehicle rescue, rope rescue, water rescue. I mean, you wear many hats. You have a lot of certifications. I know that. And I'm going to go a little off topic here. So I know as a whole, you're just a very well-rounded provider. But out of all those disciplines, what do you think is your favorite out of it all?
I would have to say that by far, rescue is my favorite. And it doesn't matter what type that is. And the reason why is because a rescue always involves a person.
Patient-based rescue.
No matter what it is, there's a person involved with that. A fire, it's property. Sometimes it's a person. It's not always. I've actually given some pretty good talks recently of, it's very biased, pretty good talks, engaging my fear. But the fact of the matter is that one of the things that I say to people that are looking at like EMS or fire or police, someone trying to find their way in public safety, I tell every one of them, if there's a time in your life where you want to make a difference in people's lives, absolutely every time you go out the door in an ambulance, you're making a difference in someone's life, whether that's talking to them, whether that's holding their hand, whether it's making grandma a peanut butter jelly sandwich because she just had a diabetic episode, or sweeping her floor because you don't want her to fall on some loose dirt. But you don't have that in the fire department. You don't have that in the police department. You have that every time you go out in an ambulance. And I truly believe that if you want to make a difference in people's lives, EMS is where it's at.
I agree. We save lives. Hey, go mess with the firefighters and the police.
Yeah.
We save lives.
I live in the fire world now, but I absolutely miss the fact that I love the fact that I had 20 years of experience of being that person, of just talking to grandma, talking to grandpa, and just being a nice person to them.
It's being a human. Honestly, I think that's closest to being a human being, is knowing that everyone struggles. And, like you said, if it's just that little old lady that she's lonely and she wants her hand held, it's a lot of social work. That's a big part of EMS is, if you're a good provider, you know how to take care of that holding of hand. That's such a big thing. So back onto the training, what do you say to those who resist continuous training or think the experience alone is enough?
That I asked that person that they really truly need to take a deep, deep look down inside them. They need to understand that there is an adage out there, and one of them is the fact that, are you the person that you would want coming to rescue you? And by that, I mean, are you prepared to do the unthinkable? Are you mentally in the right place that someday you may have to put your life on the line for someone you don't know, because it's your job to do it? I've seen people that aren't ready for that, and they need to have that hard conversation with that. Are you also ready to put your best skills on the line every time you go out the door? So not just have to be your life, but also be your skills. Like, are you talented and proficient in the things that you need to do to be able to save me? Are you able to save me? And whenever I would talk to people or teach, that's what I really cared about. Like, you may be the person that's coming to help me someday, and you need to be ready for that. And honestly, if you're not, you should really consider leaving the profession, because you're not there for the right reasons. The public deserves it, hands down. And that's what they deserve, is us to be there for them, no matter what it is. Yeah, it sucks sometimes, and bad things happen to great people every day. And sometimes one of us may be the part of that, but we usually do it in the name of the job. And it's not, it sucks that it has to be acceptable, but what we do is freaking dangerous. I don't care if it's stepping out of an ambulance on 279, or if it's entering a structure fire with a charged hose line, or a police officer walking into any location or store. Well, everything we do while we're there is dangerous. You need to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
And how do you personally stay sharp and continue learning in your role as a chief, or whatever hat you're wearing at the time?
Yeah. So I think this is a really good question. And personally, over the last probably 16 years, I found that the secret to that is your own personal mindset. One is the optimism piece of it that we've talked about, and two is, who do you surround yourself with? Who is in your circle? And I would tell you, from my days at Ross and Harmony and Cranberry, I've had the privilege of being surrounded by some of the absolutely amazing, talented providers, rescue technicians, and firefighters. There were people that absolutely kept me sharp, absolutely keep me motivated. And it's truly a long list. I couldn't tell you the people that have been involved in that. But I could not see some of these people for years. I may run into someone after missing them for 5 years, or work with them 5 years ago, and it's like we never even missed a beat. But I learned some great lessons from them, those amazing people. And honestly, I've learned good lessons from great leaders, and I've learned even better lessons from absolutely terrible leaders that I have learned from, that taught me what not to do as a manager or a firefighter or a paramedic or a leader. And if you pay attention to those, there'll be someone, and apply them, you can make sure that you don't go down that same road. So,
turning lemons into lemonade.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, we got 3 left for you. We're almost done picking your brain for now, until you come back on. For young people considering a career in public safety, what's the best piece of advice you can give to them?
So the training and education piece is absolutely important. I believe that at a young age, or you coming into the profession, that you should plow through as much education and training as you possibly can, because it will change your life. But what you need to do is not just focus on pro board certifications or certifications at a specific skill level. You need to focus on some type of formal secondary education, whatever that may be. But I want people to understand that they need to also focus on the skills piece of it, the skills portion of what we do. So getting those hands-on sets and reps to ensure that they are tactically proficient with what they have to do or what they may have to do someday is of the utmost importance. So they need to practice them, and they need to take those skills and apply them, and also teach other people about those skills, because it's that ripple effect in them that I just talked about. If you teach somebody something and they teach someone something else, it's a pretty amazing feeling. There's a gentleman that passed away a few years ago by the name of Jimmy Ellis. And Jimmy Ellis was a great friend of mine. It's probably the first person in my life that I've ever said this about. I don't feel like he's dead. And it's probably pretty weird to say, but it's also pretty profound to say that, because this guy mentored and taught so many people that his legacy lives on through every one of them and the people that I'm around all the time. And I can see him in all of them. And it makes me so proud of him and what he accomplished. And he's made some of the most amazing public safety providers in this entire area in regards to firefighting and rescue. And to me, that's where it's at, is the fact that you teach someone a lesson. Jimmy taught these guys lessons, and now they're teaching other people lessons, and they're teaching other people lessons. So his legacy will live on for an infinite amount of time just because of his efforts that he put forward and how he carried himself. But I truly feel like he's still alive because I see him, the impacts of what he did every day.
And now you have that Jimmy Ellis training weekend, correct?
Yeah. Yep. That's actually coming up in August, and it's held at the Marriott in Cranberry, and then we go out to a bunch of different hot sites for hands-on training. And the event is all in the memory of Jimmy, and there's a slew of hands-on training classes. There's a bunch of lecture series classes, and a bunch of social events too. And all of those make it so we're all together and we're all talking about someone that had such an impact on so many people. And he's still going to have that impact well beyond my passing. And it's amazing.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Are there any resources, programs, or habits that have helped you navigate mental health challenges for this job?
So for me, again, it's been the resources are the people. The people are what helped me navigate it, because I get to help them through their unfortunate situation. There are a few things that I know whenever I'm feeling down that I do, and one of them is loud music. I absolutely love music, and turning it up as loud as it could possibly go. I like to have good social events. I like to party. I like to host. I like to have people over and have fun. I love to
Go swimming.
Yeah. I love to cook big meals and make people happy. That to me, there's no satisfaction better than cooking something amazing and everybody being like, "Oh my goodness, I'm in a food coma." Like I love that. But probably one of the biggest thing that I do, and I'm doing it right now, smiling. Makes me feel good.
Smile bigger. You can see it better when the mustache isn't as thick.
Poor guy's gonna shave it off, though.
I mean, he's a fire chief. He has to have it.
It's been bringing me good luck. I'm not getting rid of it.
That means you just have to smile bigger now.
Yep.
That's it. All right, Scotty. Here's the grand finale. If you could go back and talk to yourself at 17 years old, just before enlisting, what advice would you give?
Pretty easy. Embrace the bad days. I truly believe that the hardest things that you deal with, it absolutely suck, play an absolutely immense role in shaping you and what you do today. While those moments may be terrible, they may be the worst thing you've ever experienced in your life. The optimist in me makes me find the silver lining in everything. I don't care if someone died, I can find the silver lining in it, and the positives to pull out of it. So for me, with the unfortunate experience, it'll help you and others get through their unfortunate experiences. So when you have a bad day, when I have a bad day, all I really do is, I know that when I go to bed tonight and I wake up in the morning, I'm usually reset and I'm on my way, smiling.
It's a new day.
Yeah.
It's a rebirth. It's a chance to start it all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it is. And I think that's what we try to do that and get the people on here like yourself, just to let everyone know that we all have some things, in our past, or things that we go through just daily. And if this can just give someone a little bit of hope for the, half hour or an hour that they're on, and to project that out into the world to show other people that, man, I suffer with some stuff, and I'm sure everyone else suffers with some stuff, and to know that they're not alone, that's the mission that we have here, isn't it, babe? And I really think, seeing someone like yourself come on, Scotty, and we said this before you came on, we're super excited to have such a good friend come on. And I know it's tough to sometimes get into some of the hard things that we've been through, but again, like you said, that shows your resilience, and to how you can get over things and find that silver lining in everything. But again, man, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, happy to talk to you both, and I completely support the mission that you guys are working through here, and I think it's going to be unbelievable as you continue to go down the road.
We can't wait to have you back on. Surprise!
I'll just be an old trick at that point.
Anything else you want to add, man, to let the people know out there?
No, I think that I pretty much covered everything. I could talk for days on things that I've been involved in and been a part of, and how we've dealt with them as groups and individuals. And maybe that's a story for a different time. But I truly feel privileged to be surrounded by the group of people that I speak to regularly. They all know who they are, and even people that are old friends, I still cherish every one of them, and they're the reason why I'm here today. I'm here to help. I want everybody to be proud of the person that they molded me into. So,
well, either way, it took a lot of you to mold yourself into that too. So I want you to give yourself that personal credit, because you're a badass dude, man, for real. And thank you for being our friend.
Yeah, likewise.
Anything else you'd like to add, babe?
I was so excited for you to come on. I mean, one of my favorite things about Airsoft is obviously getting to see you guys all the time, and just the conversations that you have, but without even knowing, learn a lot from you. And it's always just an honor to talk to you and hear things that you've done, and we just couldn't wait to have you on the show and share those.
Thank you. Feelings mutual. And I noticed that you didn't use the one photo that I sent you, which kind of upsets me. One of the most amazing moments I've ever had in my life, and that was holding Brittany's face while I was singing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" to her at her wedding. And there were some absolutely amazing moments there, and
we'll add it in right here.
I will. I'm going to add it on. When we edit this, I'm going to add it right on. It's going to be fantastic.
Perfect. I think the world needs to see
photo
that.
of me shoulder carrying you to your car.
Yeah, you should. But the world needs to see it. It's okay to have fun. And
we have fun.
It's okay to love life, and it's okay to love yourself and others. So
That's the best thing ever, man.
Yeah.
Just having fun. We're here for a short time. You know what I mean? So let's make it. We need to leave it better than we came in, but leave that impression on everyone and have a good time and just be good people.
For sure.
Thanks, Scotty.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh yeah, brother. Thank you very much, guys. If you would like to be on the show, just like Scotty here, hit us up on twwcpodcast@proton.me. And you can definitely be on the show. We would love to have you. Share your own story. Remember, our mission, your story. We want to get everyone on to spread this far and wide. We want to break down the stigma of the mental health issues that we all have. And we all know it's everywhere. It's not just first responders, but our focus is the first responder community. And we want everyone to know that it's okay to not be okay. And I think everyone that's been on the show has said the exact same thing. It is okay to not be okay. And it's okay to reach out and to ask for that help. We're all here. Scotty would be the same way. He'll say the same thing. Give me a call. And that's true. Like, you can call us, you can email us. If there's an issue, we'll get you those resources that you need. But again, thank you, Scotty. We really appreciate you being on, brother. We love you. And till the next weekend of Airsoft, it's going.
I can't wait.
Heck yeah. Guys, thank you again. We'll see you later.